Big Brother's Big Archive. This week's episode, The Dark Horse Rises.
Thank you very much for that enthusiastic intro there, Mr. Paul Barron.
Thank you.
And thank you once again for joining us to our latest episode of Big Brother's Big Archive, where this week we are talking about a series which I actually think is rather underrated in the Big Brother UK community, which of course is Big Brother 10.
Which is sort of like lighting the fuse before the inevitable Big Bang.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Big Brother 10 is that it didn't really do that well in the ratings. I mean it's a poorest rated Channel 4 series, and during the middle of it, it's when Channel 4 announced that they were going to axe Big Brother the year after. But I feel those things sort of act as a negative, and people judge it as a bad series because of that. And yet, I actually think that Big Brother 10 is really overlooked. We're just joined by Joseph Tilley here, who I'm sure feels the same way. Joe, what was your views on Big Brother 10?
I think it had its strong points, but it was pretty weak in some places. It wasn't as entertaining for me.
I felt that maybe with Big Brother 10, I sort of agree with you. I don't think it acts the major moments in the same way that other series did, like Big Brother 5, Big Brother 7, which are the so-called classic series.
Yeah.
But I felt the characters, especially, were just fantastic this series. I mean, I actually wrote up my own list of a hypothetical second All-Star series, and I had 4 Big Brother 10 characters, which I think is just a sign of how strong I felt this was for its cast.
Because they were actually pretty strong characters. I mean, you know, you've got your oddballs. I mean, they wanted oddball, they got oddball, and a Brazilian nut apparently.
Yes, we'll have much to discuss about that Brazilian lad later on in the show.
Oh, much.
So you have to stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, because that is something worth listening to. But Paul made a great point there mentioning the oddballs. And it's quite aptly brings us to launch night, which is of course the perfect place to start. Now, as much as I do like this series, one thing I do have to say, and I want your opinions about this, was this the weakest launch night ever? I just felt the launch night of the series just lacked so much impetus and excitement. It just felt very run-of-the-mill to me.
It wasn't that exciting, to be honest, the launch night.
Yeah. And why do you think that was? Do you think it was because the twist where they couldn't really reveal all the house? Do you think that helped? Do you think it was the cast itself? Just what made it such a poor launch night to begin with?
Well, for a start, they had the one person that would probably interact more going in first. I mean, you know, you can actually see at the point of the first housemate's entry, you could just see the fact of, you know, hello, I'm here. Yeah, I'm talking about Freddy.
Yeah.
He just says, hello, comes up to the phone. Hello? Oh.
Brilliant. I love Freddy. I have to point that out before you. I'm probably one of the biggest Freddy fans on the Big Brother UK community.
He's a Freddy file.
So please don't describe me like that. That has so many wrong connotations towards it.
Okay. He's a Freddy fanboy. Right.
Yes, that's much better.
A Freddy fanboy.
Now, what was your view overall on the cast, Joe? Because I remember reading on Facebook and on the internet forums when launch night was happening, a lot of people were really quite negative towards the cast, and particularly, quite alarmingly, they were focusing on the fact that this cast had such a wide ethnicity. It was a very diverse cast in terms of age, race, gender, sexual orientation, and a lot of people reacted really badly to that. What was your view?
I think it was a great cast, you know, in some terms. There was some who made me laugh, some who scared the living daylights out of me, called Angel.
Did you understand any of the reason for the negativity? I mean, I just never grasped onto that for me.
No, I didn't get why they were so negative.
Facebook are full of trolls. I mean, come on. The only way that I can sum up Facebook is with someone from a review show called The Nostalgia Critic, right? Bringing up douchey McNickpick. That is basically summing up Facebook right there. How am I there? You're not doing it right.
Well, Adam Sandler's there.
Touche.
I think I look like Adam Sandler there.
I like that. But yeah, I mean, Would I have maybe liked a few more English-based people in the house? Maybe. But for me, I just knew we were going to have a great cast.
Yeah, but you've got Freddy, and you can't get more British than Freddy now, can you? You can't. All you need to do now is take face paint, put on the Union Jack, and there he is, Mr. British Freddy right there.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but I thought it was a good cast, and I had a sense it could be a good one if it was given the right sort of oomph. And the sort of oomph that we were supposed to get excited about during that first week was the no housemates twist. Now, I like the idea of the twist in premise. I like the idea of housemates competing to try and earn a housemate status. It was pretty poorly executed though.
Less Bowie knives.
But I mean, if you had proper physical challenges to try and get into the house, I think maybe it could have worked a lot more. But I mean, some of the things that they did were just pretty weak. I mean, Karl had to pretend to be run over by a motorbike. Noirin had to dunk a biscuit into a cup of tea for as long as he could. It's not really total wipeout, is it?
No.
Do you know what this is sounding like? This is Channel 4 scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, totally. I mean, that could have been a great concept and it was done really badly.
Yeah, I mean, for frig's sake. Notice I didn't swear there, folks. Right? The beginning task was you've got to shave someone's head and put and their eyebrows and put glasses and a twiddly moustache on them. How good? Right, I would really buckle to see the friggin' task stuff of that series.
I mean, there were good tasks which came later in the series. We can't deny that. But the twist to try and earn house status was very weak. One part I did like though. I think it was on day 2. They had an SAS raid come into the house. I said that in inverted commas. And of course, everybody runs around screaming, "Oh my God, it's the SAS!" And Marcus just stands there like, "Yeah, what the hell do you want?"
Oh, Marcus, Mr. Pound Shop Wolverine himself.
Marcus is a great character. We're going to be speaking.
You know what? Speaking of Pound Shop things, as soon as I saw Chris, we called him Pound Shop Russell Brand because of his stuffed hair.
Honestly,
that's what we called him. So you bring that up is really, really relevant.
I hadn't thought of it that way until you brought it up. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So all the housemates earn their status during their own respective ways. Noirin's biscuits, Noirin's moustache, Freddy and Sophie changing their names, and then we're left with 6 people who failed to get into the show and needed the public's help to try and earn housemate status, which were Angel, Benazir, Marcus, Siavash, Sophia, and Shrey. Now, of those 6, it was Benazir who received the least votes from the public and unfortunately never became a fully fledged housemate.
Aww.
Do you think that the right choice was made there, Joe?
Yeah, I think it was. I didn't think that she fought hard enough to be a housemate.
Do you think it was a bit unfair on Benazir though? Because really 4 days is not long enough really to earn a proper chance to prove yourself to the public, are they?
Yeah, but as I said, she didn't really fight hard enough to do it anyway, so...
Yeah. One of the things I will say though is she had the harshest exit ever for a Big Brother housemate.
Yeah.
I mean, she left to no crowd, she got put onto a double-decker bus, had a 5-second interview with Davina, and the bus just drove away.
That's horrible!
That's probably one of the worst evictions that I've ever seen a housemate. And
that's even worse than the Jade Goody one.
Because Jade left, of course, to no audience as well, but...
That was on different circumstances, but dear God.
I felt so sorry for Benazir. I mean, from what I saw, she seemed like a nice enough girl. I think she probably may not have been like an absolute superstar, but I think she deserved more than 4 days to try and prove herself.
Mm.
We'll have to move on though from Benazir, because I could have talked about how I feel it's unfair, but we'll have to move on. Mm. And what we are moving on to about is the start of one of the big story arcs of Big Brother 10. And I think this is probably one of the big things that I think is the selling point of the show, was it had so many great compelling story arcs. And the first of these was Freddy's isolation from the rest of the group, and the way that Freddy, for the first 5 weeks for it, became this house whipping boy. Now what was your view on that, Paul? Because
with a character like Freddy, you've got him being the most eccentric one in the house, but good guys usually get screwed over. I should know about that through life, but yeah.
But why do you think it was so that really caused Freddy to be such a target for like Chris and Charlie and Carly, Lisa, etc.?
Well,
because from what we saw in the highlights, and I know the highlights give a very exaggerated view of the housemates, but Freddy just came across as a harmless eccentric.
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the one word that we've got to focus on with something like this. Harmless. Right?
Found something funny, Joe?
Sorry, I'm just googling. Doing the single ladies dance. It's so funny.
We'll talk about that. The single ladies.
Anywho, moving.
But yeah, whilst we got you on board, Joe, what was your view on Freddy? Why do you think Freddy was treated like crap from the others?
I think what the reason was, he was too nice, to be honest with you. I know he's a nice fella,
Exactly.
so funny, but he was just too nice to everyone. He said yes to everything.
Well, he didn't say
in the first.
Well, he didn't say yes. He said, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's why
the
the advantage
worst.
of him made him his whipping boy.
Do you think there was a case of inverted snobbery in regards to the treatment of Freddy? Do you think that the other housemates, well, the housemates that picked on him, sort of did it because they resented his toughness, his rich background?
I would love to have someone like that.
Joe, what about you? Do you think that inverted snobbery?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit.
Moving on though, now Freddy versus House was one of the big selling points of week 1. But another big selling point was the argument, the short-lived feud between Sophia and Saffia, which resulted in a massive argument and helped to influence Sophia's decision to quit the show. Now, where did you stand on that, Joe? Because it was quite interesting to watch that, because if you remember, Sophia, God bless her soul, she's no longer with us. She was one of the early favourites to win on launch night.
Oh, bugger, you mean the short?
Yeah.
Oh no, balls.
And yet, in the space of a week, she turned herself into this major villain of the show, and arguably helped to bring about the departure of another housemate by forcing them to quit. Where did you stand on that?
I think that Saffia, not Sophia, Saffia was a big bully, and I didn't like her from the
Let's find another word for big bully here, because quite frankly she was about 4 foot tall. So
No. I said Saffia, not Sophia.
Saffia, yeah. It got very confusing because we had a Sophie, a Sophia, and a Saffia. And it's quite ironic actually that by the end of the week we had a Sophia, a Saffia, and a Sophie. Yet by the end of the week all 3 of them were gone because Sophie became dog-faced and the other 2 left the house.
Yeah, Saffia was a big bully and Sophia was I think she was a little cute, funny thing, and I loved her to bits.
Personally, I don't agree with you. I mean, Sophia never did herself any favours. I think Sophia did come across like a bit of a cow at times.
Bit of a cow. She was fucking mental.
But that doesn't justify what Sophia did. I mean, I know she's sadly no longer with us, but she was pretty poor when she was in there.
Yeah.
I can understand you don't agree with that, but
unfortunately, I'm getting confused by which because you've got Sophia, tomato.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
Got very confusing between them lot. But as we mentioned, Sophia left, and partly influenced by what happened with Sophia, partly influenced by what happened by her kids, by having to leave her kids.
Aww.
Should single parents go on a show like this though? Really, if they're going to miss the kids after a week and quit because of them, should they really be sacrificing them for what could be 13 weeks?
No. Single parents thinking about fame? YouTube. Not Big Brother, YouTube.
Moving on. And we're moving on to that week 1 eviction. Now, it's no surprise based on the 2 big stories of that week that Freddy and Sophia both go up against each other. And Sophia ends up leaving with a massive 91% of the public vote. Now, it's hard to try and judge Sophia on a neutral level because sadly she's no longer with us, and you've got to respect the dead. But where do you stand on Sophia as a housemate, Joe?
I think she was a bit of a cow sometimes, but she was alright the rest of the time.
So much for respecting the dead.
But personally, I do think at that point in the show, with what Freddy was going through, Freddy could have beaten anybody.
Why do I just see Freddy in a toga? It's just
that
really-
actually happens. You have a Greek themed task.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. It's just, you know, it would be brilliant if he just came in and said, I am Emperor Freddy.
Well, I can think of, when I think of the series, is Freddy in the, like, Henry VIII time dress.
Ah, yes, we're coming to the Henry VIII task. I think about week 3. We're coming up to that. Really good. Thank you for bringing that up. We'll move on from that though, and we're moving on to a great story arc. Another great one. This series has just had some great long-running stories. Shri and Noirin. Shri spent the first.
Oh God.
I know. I love Shri in this role as well. But Shri spent the first week of the show trying to flirt with every woman, saying about how beautiful they were and how delicate they were.
Are we talking?
We're talking about Shri. Don't worry, this isn't Raj from The Big Bang Theory.
No, I mean, are we talking the Love Guru or the guy or one of the backup dancers from the Pussycat Dolls video?
We're talking Shri.
Oh,
yeah.
The the backup guy that goes.
Yes. So Shri had basically went to every girl in the house, being rejected by all of them, finally fixated on Noirin, and basically spent the next 3 weeks as his own personal lapdog and driving Noirin absolutely insane.
It started off as, would you be my girlfriend? No. Would you be my girlfriend? No. Would you be my girlfriend? Well, he asked me.
It was pretty much that, yeah. And even after Noirin probably said no, Shri just still clung onto her arm like that. But yeah, Joe, where do you stand on Noirin and Shri?
I just think it was hilarious. It was like still a better love story than Twilight.
Well, anything's a better story than than Twilight.
Aye. My bloody sparkly little bastards.
But what made this so interesting though? I mean, Big Brother's seen hundreds of unreciprocated love storylines. What made Shri and Noirin so engaging though?
It was just like that he had cute puppy eyes and she didn't see it, and it was just the rejection over and over again that made it funny.
How the fuck did he have cute puppy eyes? I mean, he didn't have no cute. All I just saw was slits.
I love this showman so much. When I wrote down a list of my top 10 favourite Big Brother showmances, I think I had Noirin and Shri at number 9. It was just so engaging to watch. Just this Shri not
Like
realising.
car crash.
What's that? It was car crash. It was a perfect car crash
Like,
relationship.
You couldn't stop looking.
You couldn't stop looking at all. But one thing I could stop looking at, one thing that really did drive me nuts, and I'm gonna bring this up with you two, Chris and Sophie.
Oh, vomit.
Vomit. Now this is probably one of the most blatant showmasters we've ever seen in the show, and it just lacks so much. I just could not get involved with these two at all. And I mean, I remember an episode. It was in week 2. Where they had a Sophie and Chris heavy episode. It was about their relationship and will they, won't they. And honest to God, it was probably the worst episode of Big Brother I have ever seen in my life.
So, are we talking, how bad are we talking here? Are we talking The Room mixed in with something really bad?
I'd rather watch Big Brother 4 than watch the Chris and Sophie episode again.
Oh my god.
That's how poor I found it, because they just lacked so much charisma, lacked so little charisma between the two of them. I mean, Chris was just a pretty boy, nothing more than that, and a dull one. And Sophie was just nothing at that point. And really, Sophie really only comes out of shell around week 6 or so.
She was so dull.
But for those first 5 weeks, she was nothing. She was just an extension of Chris.
I think with, Chris being the Russell Brand wannabe that he is.
But he lacked no charisma.
Exactly. I mean, he's just And Sophie, dear God, thick as pudding.
Yeah, Paul's not a big fan of Sophie, which is going to make it very interesting once we get to the end of the show.
I'm not buying out.
No spoilers there. But yeah, it lacked any interest. It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't engaging. And thankfully, production put a stop to it and basically clicked on. It was a showmance. And just said, you're faking this, and for that we're going to punish you. But let us move on though, and the other big character that was interesting to us for that week was Kyron.
The American. I liked him.
And if we remember, Kyron had a conflict with Shri, the infamous say to me face argument, where he just basically repeated that over and over and over again.
It reminds me of Parliament.
Yeah. Happening just before nominations, so of course everybody got the opportunity to evict Kyron. Kyron went up against Freddy.
Freddy won, Kyron lost.
Yes, Kyron very badly lost actually. I believe it was 86%. I believe seems to ring a bell.
Oh.
Now what was your view on Kyron? Because Kyron was somebody who I felt came in with a lot of potential.
I saw potential in that. I mean, you know.
I sort of had him down as someone, I could imagine maybe a youthful, more wide-eyed Darnell. That's how I saw Kyron. And he just faded into insignificance, really.
Yeah, sort of like everyone else. He's got the cockiness, but he just felt flat.
Definitely. The one thing that did stand out to me about Kyron, and I want you bringing up, did anybody get the hint of homophobia from it? I remember a conversation.
Yeah.
I remember a conversation that happened between the housemates, where they were talking about how they were bisexual or lesbian or had gay experiences, etc. And once someone asked Kyron about this, Kyron got very uptight about it. He was like, "Oh no, I'm not gay. I am not gay." Like really, just he really hated the insinuation.
Oh, even Big Brother saw that on his audition tape and went, "Are you gay?" No, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. I'm not gay.
It's taken 10 series, right? And this is the first Big Brother with the first proper gay relationship.
Yes, and we'll be discussing that in the lot future. I've got that down from the week 4 notes, I believe. What we are going to bring up though is the week 3 shopping task, which you just mentioned earlier in the show, but I have to agree with. I did enjoy this one. The Tudor shopping task, which saw the housemates taking up Tudor-style roles, which included Siavash, who was playing King Henry VIII, and his and the other housemates as some of his 6 wives. I'm just trying to find out who it was. I believe Freddy was one of them, which was a very hilarious thing.
Oh my God! You got Lady Angel, you've got Lady Sophia, you've got Freddy, Lady genderly confused.
I believe Marcus was the court jester as well.
Yes.
That's good. Oh, just basically seeing Mark in that, you know, it'll be like Wolverine told to be dressed up like a jester, and he's basically, look, I'm enjoying my job. Look at me.
Well, what was funny as well was that Marcus, you know how Marcus had that near permanent snarl on his face all the time.
Yes.
Sitting in a chair with that snarl on his face, dressed like the jester. Very funny sight. Now
it's just basically, you could just take a picture of that and put the words "I hate my life."
I've got a picture right here. I'm looking at it right now. It's so funny.
Yes, we've made a meme. We've made a meme.
But one thing which got forgotten about that task was Siavash, as Henry VIII, was told that he was allowed to ban one housemate from nominating and give another one immunity. Now, did anybody get the impression that this was applied to try and save Freddy? They sort of tried to encourage Siavash to use it on Freddy so that he wouldn't be nominated.
Hell yes, because Freddy's awesome. I'm starting to get a little bit of the.
I think they just wanted to shake up a bit. I mean, yeah. Freddy going up against anybody at that point would mean an eviction for that person. It gets very predictable, doesn't it?
Especially with Siavash being the ego that he is.
Yes, but he actually chose Charlie and Marcus as people who were banned from nominating that week.
Oh, fair enough.
Yes, yeah. And I think Marcus may have been a target, but I think that was designed for Freddy, and I think Siavash didn't really utilise it. But the decision on who was going to be the next person that Freddy would lose to, was all but made from us when Angel decided to insult the girls. Yes, it was during a discussion with Noirin, and Angel claimed that she looked 3 months pregnant, which probably in Angel's bizarre world was probably a compliment, but the girls didn't take to it very well at all, and she pretty much wrote her own death warrant there.
Yeah, you're basically someone who's trying to be so unique. It's scary, but you're also but you're basically blurred. You've become so unique. You've basically had your reality of your own thing just obscured So anything that you probably say in your world will probably be a compliment, but everyone you say in your in the real world will probably end up getting you beaten up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
I mean,
I wasn't inspired by her entry outfit looking like the child catcher.
Oh god, aye.
I quite like that actually, because I actually thought Angel had a bit of troll in it, because I remember watching launch night, and I remember the crowd obviously didn't take to Angel, so they were booing straight from the start. But as Angel realised the crowd are booing, she started going slower and slower and slower as she walked in, and the crowd got more wound up, and that just caused her to go slower. I just thought that was brilliant.
I was just hoping she was going to go into some sort of Richard O'Brien sort of, big musical number. It's astounding. Time is fleeting.
But I just think that's just a small part of the enigma of Angel. I just thought she was completely off her rocker and almost certainly going to be an early build. But she was so likeable, so engaging, and I think that I warmed to her.
Aye.
I think if you ever did an early boot season, I think Angel would have to be a consideration.
Yeah.
One thing I do remember about Angel is just on that same thing, because Angel would moonwalk. Angel did a bit of dancing, and she knew how to moonwalk. But I remember that was the week that Michael Jackson had just died.
I can see where this is going.
And people on Digital Spy were having this discussion. They were having that, oh my god, what if Angel tries moonwalking out the house?
They'll probably end up throwing something.
But yeah, it was almost inevitable. Angel was going to go that week, and against Freddy, it was a whitewash. 81% of the public vote, I believe.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, it was not until a few weeks later that the housemates actually found out.
Yes, I remember that.
Right, slip up.
Do you think that was right to do that though? Because that really started the descent to like guests coming into the house and having celebrities coming in and telling people about the outside or letting Rylan go off to do what he wants. That sort of started that though, didn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
It's pretty weird, that.
Yeah. Let's move on though. We've enjoyed week 3. Now let us enjoy week 4 and the Italian themed task, which involved the housemates conducting a series of Italian themed competitions. The most noticeable one was the 24-hour task, which involved Shri playing a 24-hour ice cream man.
Oh dear.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Cue Mr. Applecheeks right now.
But yeah, because Shri was absolutely abysmal on that task. And I remember one task, I think it was about 4 in the morning, they ring the phone and you have to answer the phone within 30 seconds of getting there. And Shri is obviously asleep, and after about 5 minutes of ringing, gingerly wanders over the phone. I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. I mean, he was terrible.
He got the orders wrong as well. I was screaming at him to get it right.
He got all the orders wrong as well.
Oh, man.
And I mean, that task's been done hundreds of times before, but it's still entertaining. A good 24-hour task.
Yeah.
Another interesting aspect of that week was of that task, I should say. Siavash as the fashionista.
Yeah. Dancing to Vogue.
Having to dance to Vogue, but changing into different costumes. One of which included a barrel, which he inevitably fell in.
Oh my! It's just.
Actually, a barrel's probably an advance on most of Siavash's normal clothing, let's be honest.
Yeah, because quite frankly, that man is all about the ego. He's just, right, he thinks he's this big, massive, I am here for lovely ladies and me, sort of thing. It's just, oh god.
And there was another task which involved Freddy, Rodrigo, and I believe Karl as the 3 tenants.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
With Freddy, of course, in the role of Luciano Pavarotti. Moving on, though. Now, the other big selling point of that week, selling point, should we consider that the right word? But the other big factor of that week was the argument between the argument between Marcus and Shri, which resulted in Marcus getting the formal warning from Big Brother for what could be insinuated as a racist statement against Shri. Now, first of all, there's 2 aspects about this which I want to bring up. First of all, the argument itself. Who do we think was in the wrong for it? And secondly, Marcus's reaction against the producers for seeing this racist statement as it was. Do you think that was maybe something by production to send out to all those people who think that who become too politically correct with Big Brother?
I think that, Marcus likes to have a laugh, he likes to wind people up. And, if Big Brother, if the producers didn't know that by now, then they must be pretty stupid.
Well, unfortunately...
Sorry if any producers are watching.
Yeah.
It's just, we live in a very, very politically, correct society. I mean, we can't say any of the other stuff that we were supposed to say, but,
Yeah, but I found that very interesting that they just kept in Marcus's full rant. I think there was a real political reason behind that from a production point of view. But a lot of people did fear the Tree might get some sort of bounce from like a sympathy vote for all the evil Wolverines being racist. But it never happened. Because of course Tree was up against Freddy, and as we know by now, whitewash.
Freddy bring down the hammer of popularity onto Tree and he's gone.
Freddy could have beaten Gandhi in those first 4 weeks. He was that popular.
I think there was a bit of favoritism from the production towards Freddy. Because he got all the best parts. He got Pavarotti.
He did.
He got,
one of the wives.
Yeah, and
as we know, any Big Brother housemate in drag becomes instantly funny.
To tell you the truth, seeing Freddy in a dress is friggin' hilarious.
Yes.
I mean, you've got especially a Tudor dress, and you know what they're like. They're basically old-timey rock stars. They were about indulgence. I would just love to see Freddy with a little fan going, oh, you swine!
I can imagine him doing that actually. But as much as I want to talk about Freddy, I could talk about Freddy for about 2 hours on this podcast. We're going to have to talk about Shrey. Because you cannot deny for those first 4 weeks, Shrey was the star of the show. He was one of the big players of that series.
He came in with a Union Jack shirt saying, I'm British.
He was a great character, but he was one of those great underrated train wreck housemates. I mean, a lot of people like to talk about stars from a series. Honestly, if Shree had stayed around longer, he could have been an all-star. He was that good of a housemate.
But unfortunately, some fireworks seem to fizzle out.
It's a sad fact. It's a sad indictment of that series, though. I mean, I do love this series, but to lose Angel, Shree, Sophia, and have Carly, Chris, Sophie staying there above them, that wasn't on, really.
Yeah.
I could rant about that, but thankfully, ladies and gentlemen, the downfall of Team Pretty begins with week 5.
Yay!
Now,
all hail Team.
Now, nomination had taken place that week, and Freddy and Marcus planned to be up against each other, which would have been a disaster for the show because those two were standouts. And then production chose, rather harshly, to punish Sophie, Chris and Charlie and put them on the nomination block against them. Now, as much as I hate bias, was that the right move?
Because, it's been the norm for most of the series that, if you discuss nominations, you get punished.
But I have seen worse things happen. I have seen worse things happen on Big Brother which never got punished, and those things did. I mean, as much as I dislike Sophie, Chris and Charlie in particular, I don't think they deserve to be nominated that week. Moving on though, I personally, as I was mentioned, I don't agree with the decision, but I do from a personal level because I didn't like them three at all. Now, week 5 is the opportunity we're going to have to try and discuss about the Charlie and Rodrigo showmance, which was, as Joe mentioned earlier, the first gay Big Brother relationship which took place. Was a proper relationship. I don't think we can really count Anthony and Craig because that was more lust. But
that's a bromance, man. That was a bromance from the magical bro Sidon. So.
But was Charlie and Rodrigo engaging enough to hold your attention, Joe?
No.
I agree.
I like Rodrigo. I wasn't that keen on Charlie.
I wasn't that keen on Charlie either.
Judas, you like Rodrigo? He took me place.
Rodrigo was harmless, Joe, Paul. Really, Rodrigo. I mean, he was a nice enough kid, but I agree with you. I just found it so ingenuine. The thing with Charlie was, I felt all the time when I was watching Charlie, he had this mental checklist in his head of everything the Big Brother winners did, and was trying to cynically tick them all off one by one. So he was
Yeah.
trying to play the nice guy, he was trying to be everybody's friend, he was trying to be the star of task. And this one was his Anthony moment. He wanted to try and have that love interest. And I just never really bought into it, personally.
Yeah, I didn't.
You mean Pound Shop Wolverine wanted to have a showman's thing there?
Well, with Noirin, yeah, but we'll come to that later.
Yeah.
What we are going to discuss, though, is another Noirin-related incident. Not exactly the incident itself, but what came afterwards, which is one of the great comedy moments of Big Brother. And it's Rabbitgate. Basically, it was Carly, Charlie, Sophie and Saffia had a discussion where they complained about Noirin hopping from group to group, hence Rabbit. And Saffia went and told this to Noirin, and she got really worked up about it. But during the argument, Freddy gets involved in the argument and begins defending his friend Saffia, but does so in such an over-the-top Shakespearean manner that it just takes all seriousness out of the situation. Honestly, it's one of the funniest clips. If you ever watch this, type it into Google, Freddy gets angry, honestly. One of the funniest Big Brother moments you'll watch. So Freddy comes in, he comes in to defend Noirin, and he's like, and you have repaid him with this spectacle. And I think it's Carly who jumps in and says, Freddy, you weren't even there.
But I believe him!
I have no problem questioning Saffie's honesty. Honestly. Now, I think Freddy did play up a lot to the cameras. I think Freddy was very aware of the show.
He did play up with it because, he did know it was a show.
That was
and he was the fucking ringleader of that show.
That was honestly one of the funniest moments I've seen. It. Honestly, that was the peak of Freddy's popularity there. I don't think Freddy got any better for me than he did with that moment. And for me, it just topped off what became the great cake, which was Chris's eviction. Which was after all those weeks of Team Pretty holding the fort, dominating the oddballs and picking them off one by one, Chris goes. And it was one of those great satisfying moments for me, because I really didn't take the Chris.
Yeah.
I think for me, Chris represents a lot of aspects of a Big Brother housemate which I don't like. I think for me, he had a superiority over everyone because he was this pretty boy and felt that on its own had a justification to lord it over everyone else. And also, I felt he was a hypocrite as well because he complained about the others not having mint banter. Yet he was one of the most boring contestants I've ever seen.
A spray-painted black loo brush had more appeal than him.
He just was not engaging at all, and it was a satisfying eviction, really. Even if it came about through a way that I don't personally agree with, because I felt that it wasn't fair the way they got nominated. It was fair in that he had to go because he was just becoming unbearable. And the Sophie thing as well, which just was not getting the attention whatsoever. And the other way that happened as well was that I think it walked over housemates into how popular Freddy was, that he was staying over members of Team Pretty. And of course, if you remember, Freddy got all the nominations that week, didn't get a single one the week after.
It was weird then because, people started to nominate him, but he was right, but in a very theatrical sort of way.
Moving on though, and we're going to be moving on to week 6 and the 10th anniversary task. Yes, which involved housemates from years past going up against the Big Brother 10 housemates to celebrate Big Brother's 10th anniversary. Now, in the first one, we're going to bring up select few because we don't have the time to discuss them all. We're going to bring up Freddy going up against Craig in the Big Brother 1 obstacle course. Now,
this is going to be hilarious.
And one particular point which I brought up was that Craig mentioned to Freddy how popular he was outside. Did this start the beginning of the fall for Freddy? Because I noticed after this happened, Freddy got very self-confident about how popular he was. And that it was arguably that arrogance that helped bring him down in the future.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
as soon as you find out that you're basically the popular one, the ego sort of starts to become the super ego, and then the fall of Freddy, as you like to call it, started to occur, like a domino run or something.
Yes. But as mentioned, there were other Big Brother 10th anniversary tasks that took place. I believe Dean had to win the sugar cube stacking task. Rodrigo really got the short end of the stick. He had to bet on a race that was... It didn't even take place outside the house. It was in the production studio of Big Brother 3 housemates. And another good one, which I'll bring up, is I remember Federico came in to do the equestrian task, and all the housemates going, "Who's Federico? Who the hell's that?"
Yeah.
Who at Big Brother 4 really gets a shaft, doesn't it?
That's the one with Noirin, wasn't it?
It was Noirin, yeah.
Yeah, with the Michael Jackson death thing.
Yes, that's how they remembered. I remember that. Craig McCausey with the box task. I think Nikki came in. I think was it Nikki did the silent disco?
Oh God, no! Jesus Christ, that woman will not shut up.
I like to count how many times Nikki Graham has actually been in the Big Brother house at any other time, because she must be about 10 times now.
I think I counted it. It was 5. 5 times that woman's been in there. She's not entertaining. She's fucking irritating.
She's one of the most divisive housemates ever, and we will have a field day on Big Brother 7 talking about
I'll rip the new asshole.
But what we are going to talk about, though, is the decision by Big Brother to introduce 5 new housemates into the house at this point. Now, it's always been one of the big gripes I've had about Channel 4, which is that they have this impression that if things are getting dull, let's just chuck 10 million housemates in there.
Yeah.
What did you make of these 5, though? Which was B, Hera, Kenneth, Tom, and David.
Boring, and boring.
Blunt as they come from Joseph Tilly there. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, because you didn't actually bring some impact into the house, so I'm going with Joey here. Boring.
Well, there's one of them I do think that stands out later, but we'll talk about her later. There's a bit of a clue for you. But I want to speak specifically about Kenneth. Now, Kenneth came in with the novelty that he was Carly's boyfriend at the time. And I remember Digital Spy going absolutely berserk when they heard this news being announced, because they thought, oh, this is a sign they want Carly to stay. Why else would they bring Kenneth in? Where did you stand on that? The whole concept of boyfriends or girlfriends coming into the house.
Bit bullshit, really.
And you, Joe?
I think it wasn't a good idea, no.
I did enjoy that comic moment there, because Carly's obviously very happy that her boyfriend comes in, and the moment she's just getting settled, bye Carly.
Yeah.
But it gives us the opportunity to talk about Carly as a housemate, which once again, I believe, another underrated housemate. I mean, Carly might not have been an absolute superstar, but she had funny moments. I think she really suffered from being on the wrong end of the alliance divide, I think.
Yeah.
I think if she'd been aligned with the eccentrics, I think people would have taken to her a lot more than she did, because she was quite funny.
But she had to go with Team Pretty, as in other words, the cardboard cutouts of happy, sexy people.
Yeah. What about you, Joe?
I just think that she was so dull and she didn't really bring much to the house. And she was a pretty girl, and that was her only factor that made her interesting.
So basically, the boobs.
Yeah, basically.
Well, we agreed to disagree on that one. And with that, we'll move on to week 7. Now, week 7 was pretty much about the newbies, because they had a nomination. What's that?
Star Ruff.
Oh yes, but actually before we come to that, we'll discuss the Greek theme task. They'd already done Italian, so let's do Greece. Let's do all the financially troubled countries in the world. They'll do Spain next.
Oh my god.
But yes, they had a Greek theme task which involved Charlie and Rodrigo having to perform Stavros Flatley's Britain's Got Talent routine.
And guess what?
Yes?
It was the big character again playing Zeus. Surprise.
Was it Freddy Fisher?
Yes, it was half-wit.
And there's Freddy in the toga here.
Oh my god, it's brilliant. Even plus he's got a beard. He's got a beard.
One thing I do remember about the task. Can you remember B as Aphrodite, the goddess of love? And she goes on a date with a random person. I can't remember his name. She goes on a date with this person, and she's really pleasant all the way through. The moment she leaves, she's absolutely ripping him to bits.
I love you, seen a bit. What a total prick.
Pretty much. And it was the early warning signs for what B would become, but we're going to discuss the early B at that point, and particularly B's relationship with Freddy at that point, and what it would later become in the series. Because Freddy was very fond of B in the early stages, talking about how this was going to be the Summer of Love 2010.
Oh yeah, Summer of Love, my ass.
And then to see it from such a positive thing early on, to see it deteriorate in the way it did. Where did you stand on Freddy and B early on? Do you think B deliberately associated herself with Freddy, thinking he was popular? Joe?
So, yeah, I think it was, yeah, definitely.
What about you, Paul?
For some odd reason, why does this remind me of a Greek? There is a Greek mythological story here.
Well, the best way I would look at it is Macbeth.
Oh.
Freddy is the Macbeth character, and
Obviously, considering the fact of how he acts.
And B is his wife. B is Lady Macbeth, basically the woman controlling things from behind, stabbing in the back and bringing about his downfall.
Oh, pretty much.
But yes, in those early stages, it was really interesting to see how B reacted to Freddy then, and what that would later become in the future. But we'll move on from that, and we'll move on to the newbies nomination task, where they had to try and get 2 randomly selected people, Freddy and Noirin. Freddy once again getting involved
for God's
there.
sake. This is becoming less of a joke. Why so many times?
Freddy show.
It was the Freddy show. And of course they failed that task, and as a result everybody else ended up getting nominated. But of course that nomination never took place because Kenneth did himself a Sandy and jumped the wall. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be brilliant.
Oh
no, one of them's jumping the wall. Release the dogs!
Yes, I think he did miss Carly, which once again begs the question, why bring in a boyfriend? Why bring in somebody who never auditioned, never intended to be part of the show, and put them in with no purpose to be there? Because we see another situation like that happen later on this year. Kenneth didn't want to be there without Carly. Why put him in?
I'm seeing Big Brother as more of a mental game, and Big Brother's playing with them.
No, I just found it pointless. What was the point of bringing Kenneth in when Kenneth wasn't going to embrace the experience like somebody who went through the audition process?
Big Brother is a prick. Obviously, Big Brother is a prick.
And of course, 1 week after Kenneth left, we lost Tom. Not 1 week, just a few days afterwards, we lost Tom as well. And which makes me.
I don't even remember him.
I don't remember Tom. Actually, the only thing I remember about Tom is that you know how a car would always bring a housemate to the house itself. Tom is the last person to arrive in the car. No other housemate has been seen arriving in the car because he had the pick them out from a crowd on Big Brother 11, and he started using the stage for the Channel 5 series. So there's a bit interesting bit of trivia there for you.
Oh, piss.
But yeah, I found him boring as well. I mean, he had that brief little feud with Marcus over Noirin.
Why do I just see Tom being, dressed up like a ninja? You know, no one knew that he was coming in, so basically he just, ninja'd himself in there.
But yeah, he had that brief mini feud with Marcus over Noirin, but that was really it. And Kenneth was just slimy, I think.
Yeah, I didn't like Kenneth.
No, a very poor selection of male housemates. I mean, Kenneth could have maybe been funny in a. He's so ridiculously over the top, he's funny, but no, I just never took to it. And we move on to week 8. And we sort of touched on it there. This is the culmination of the Noirin, everybody loves Noirin story, because by this point, Siavash and Marcus are pretty much squabbling between themselves over Noirin. Where did you stand on that? Because I think both characters really took a dent in popularity due to associating themselves with Noirin at this point.
I think Noirin was kind of slimy as well, that, she had all the boys chasing after her, and then she just let them down.
I think that was good gameplay though. I quite like the fact that Noirin was able to manipulate so many men.
Evil temptress.
I think
basically the sirens.
Do you know who she reminds me of actually? If you ever watch Survivor, Parvati. She's the closest thing that Big Brother has had to Parvati, I think. But yeah, I mean I love Marcus, but that was the worst time for Marcus for me, when he became this lovelorn little puppy calling for Noirin's affection all the time.
Ironically, because he's Wolverine.
Moving on to more positive aspects though. Does anybody remember Hera's singing?
What now?
Yes, Hera was basically trying to establish herself as a character, and one of the big selling points of Hera at this point was her singing.
Yeah.
Was she singing badly?
Yes, and I remember Freddy, Marcus and Siavash got themselves locked into jail because they broke the rules. They had a little jail in the corner and they had to sit in it for an hour. And Hera tried to lighten up the mood by singing to the boys and doing it in such a bad way, and it just cuts to Marcus's face and he's just like, "Get me the hell out of here, please."
Is it the same look that you had with the jester, or is it
Yes, it's the jester look.
Oh my god, it's just... No, I want to die. Just kill me now.
It was just terrible. Now, we mentioned before how we disliked boyfriends coming into the show, boyfriends and girlfriends coming into the show.
What happens?
They bring in another one.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Isaac.
Isaac Stout. until Laura McAdam came along, Britain's Big B UK's shortest-lived housemate. What was the point of it, really? Because I remember it was Marcus and Noirin who faced the nominations that week, and I remember it was actually really close in the vote between Marcus and Noirin. And a lot of people couldn't really call which one of them was going to go. The moment Isaac came in and established himself as a showman, as Noirin's boyfriend, which in turn upset Siavac, which in turn upset Marcus, it was the death knell for Noirin. It ruined the eviction, it ruined Noirin's storyline. It was pointless because Isaac didn't even stay around an hour after that.
I am bringing up I have no mouth but I must scream sort of thing. Big Brother being a prick.
I think it was just to show the housemates that Noirin actually did have someone following her all the time, 24/7, and it's her boyfriend.
But
But
things outside of the show shouldn't influence your opinion. I mean, I was loving Noirin for being this flirtatious beauty that was the siren to all the men.
Be honest, you were captivated by her spell.
Oh, she was gorgeous.
See, told you.
Yeah.
But it's to find out boyfriend, fuck you.
But it was the perfect time to discuss Noirin as a housemate, because of those, I mentioned how there were 4 housemates which are rated down superstars, as all-star housemates. Noirin's one of them. I mean, I don't particularly like the manipulative woman, but she played the role absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
I guess by that awkward silence I'm in the minority there. What was your 2's views?
For one, girl, you be playing with the other man, but you have a man of your own. That's not gonna work, baby. That's not gonna work.
And the same answer from Joseph Tilley.
Yeah, pretty much the same. I didn't like her really. She was an interesting housemate. She was quite clever and stuff, but I think that her leading on men was just.
It got caught up with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the form of Isaac.
It was her biggest thing. It was what she did in the house, and that wasn't that interesting.
And of course, an hour later, during the middle of Big Brother's Big Mouth, Isaac walks, joins her for Big Brother's Big Mouth, which once again stresses the question, why put in someone who doesn't care about it? Because honestly, apart from Isaac coming in dressed as a Peter Man and kissing Noirin a couple of times, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a bit pointless to find out that they're just throwing people in. In fact, I would really buckle if they went, hey, you out there, you want to be in Big Brother? Alright, fair enough.
You should only really cast people who care about it. And I feel that happened far too late in the Channel 4 series, that they put in too many recruits who just didn't embrace the experience and just...
It's just stupid when they add people that's not enthusiastic. I mean, if they added Karl, that would be brilliant, because, you know...
I imagine the public would hate me.
Like the plague.
Oh, definitely.
But,
we're going to move on though, and we're going to move on to week number 9, a particularly controversial week, and one which basically shook up what happened in the endgame of the show. Before that though, the Alice in Wonderland task.
Oh
yeah.
Sweet Jesus, I think I know what this is. I think I know who's going to be the Mad Hatter.
No, actually, no. The actual star of the show for that week, surprisingly, was Hera. Hera was chosen as Alice in Wonderland, and her task for the show involved her having to eat a giant chocolate cake using only her hands were tied behind her back, and she had to eat it only using the mouth, and it took her to try and retrieve the key. It took her how long did it take her? About 5 hours, something like that, to try and get through the whole chocolate cake.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like, yeah, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it.
But it was so lovely as well to see her, because you could obviously tell she was struggling with it. She couldn't eat anymore. She could have quit, and she just kept going, and she kept going until she got that key. It was lovely to see.
Brave little trooper.
Yes, and it funny as well, just the persistence of Hera to go through that. But another factor, the task involved Lisa, David, Marcus, and Freddy as playing cards. And the big central argument of that series, and the moment, arguably, where Freddy Fisher blows the win. An argument with Lisa, which basically stemmed from the fact that all the housemates have been punished for rule breaking, which involved all the housemates being nominated in a vote to save. And Freddy, wound up by weeks of having to be this whipping boy for Lisa and the posse, was now over the moon that Lisa would be nominated, and started gloating in front of her about it.
See, I think that's, that's like a really bad thing for him because that just makes him look like a prat.
It did. It was absolutely terrible. And
Lisa's one of the nicest people in there.
You think so? I think Lisa was particularly poor. I mean, she had a nasty side, but she was in the right there. Freddy was just so egotistical.
Yeah.
But do you know what it was particularly with Freddy, which knocked me? It wasn't specifically the gloating at Lisa being nominated that annoyed me. It was the way he said it, and he said something like, I think Lisa said, "What's to say you're not going to get evicted?" And Freddy says, "I'm staying because the public like me."
Ooh.
And that was it for me. That was the moment Freddy lost the show.
Yeah. Say goodbye to that prize money because you just gone fucked it up.
And it was such a shame as well because Freddy would have been a fantastic winner.
It was eccentric, but yet just blew it all. And then, mind you, 100,000 quid is basically splashing the ocean for him. So
yeah, but now that decision to make it an all-up voter save, that was in itself quite controversial because at this point Channel 4 had always been very reluctant to do voter saves. Why specifically did they choose to do it that week? Who was it that you think that they were trying to protect?
Well, either.
I can't imagine Freddy being in that much danger, even with his little faux pas. So who do you think it was that they were trying to save? Was it Lisa, B, Marcus? Who do you think they were?
I think Lisa, because over the fact that they think that the public like him. She had the argument with Freddy, and to tell you the truth, you don't have an argument with the underdog.
But yeah, the reason I bring that up is because I specifically remember the voter save happening and poor Hera getting evicted that week.
Yeah.
Even after everything that happened with the Alice in Wonderland task that should have given her this great boost, to have poor Hera, the loveliest girl in the world, leaving and having Lisa stay in, it was upsetting, I think. Well, where do you stand on this, Joe?
I think that Hera was, really nice, and it'd be Lisa or Freddy should have gone that week.
Yeah, I think so as well. Do you think that maybe as well Lisa gained a bit of confidence from that because Team Pretty were pretty much down on their knees by that point. It was just her and David really. And I think that maybe Lisa started to build up the confidence to say, hang on a minute, Freddy isn't untouchable here, and it's basically build up the momentum to try and get him out the week after.
Yeah, Team Pretty are basically becoming the homeless person that you usually find on the street, begging for money and all that.
Do you think there was an underdog element to it as well? Because we'd seen Freddy as the underdog with no allies and being...
You said it yourself, he was the whipping boy.
Yeah, and then that had changed by that point when Lisa became the underdog and was basically on her knees and Freddy was the big up on top. It's basically the key to winning the show, to be an underdog, to try and deliberately isolate yourself and gain sympathy from that means.
But
yeah, Hera was really done over. A lovely girl, and I really think that she should have got better than that. But we'll move on to week 10, and we bring on the British theme task, and Rodrigo meeting the Queen. Rodrigo had...
Tap dancing Christ, where is this going to go to?
Rodrigo had basically spoken about how much he loved Britain and British culture, and how much he'd love to meet the Queen. So Rodrigo got the message that he was going to meet the Queen in the Big Brother house. Like, for some reason, the Queen is a massive Big Brother fan. Of course, not knowing that it was in fact a lookalike, a particularly bad one at that.
Now that would be hilarious. Philip, Big Brother's on. Put it on the telly.
I'd love to think that the Queen is a massive Big Brother fan.
Calm down, Lizzie. Calm down.
I was fooled by the lookalike. I thought it actually was the Queen.
I believe it was Jeanette Charles. Like, she'd done loads of stuff. I think she was the Queen in the Naked Gun film, if you remember that.
Yeah, I think that too. Mind you, if you've been in Naked Gun, you've been near what is now considered one of the gods of spoof comedy.
Yeah.
We salute you.
I particularly like Rodrigo singing "God Save the Queen," and like stumbling through all these words, like not really knowing what to say next.
He's obsessed with Britain, but he doesn't know the words.
Yeah, lovely though, particularly endearing. One question I do have though: who played Queen Lover better, Rodrigo or Sarah McLean from Big Brother 13?
Rodrigo. He was the original Queen lover.
Yeah.
I just
Now
realised
we
how
mentioned.
creepy
Now we
it
mentioned
is.
this before, that Freddy and B's relationship deteriorated, and this was the culmination of that deterioration, which involved B bringing Freddy to tears,
Ooh.
which was it was very upsetting. I mean, some people say that Freddy hammed it up and was exaggerating. That looked genuine to me. I mean, to see poor Freddy struggling like that, and to see B, I don't think B even realised why Freddy was behaving the way he was. I think B didn't really realise just how bad she was coming across.
But making her the villain, which in British terms would not help her out one
No.
fucking bit.
The one thing I will say though about B, I mean, I don't particularly like B as a person, but she was fantastic television. There was something really compelling about B as a villain. Because I think for most Big Brother villains, I think they have an awareness of the cameras, and I think they hammer up how bad they are to try and become like a panto bad. Like Charlie from Big Brother 8 is probably the best example of
Or
that.
Victor.
I don't think B ever got the impression about that. I think in B's head, everything she was doing was right.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I can't wait to talk about Charlie and Shawnee.
On Big Brother 8.
Full accident.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm looking forward to that. But where do you stand on B, and particularly B's reign of terror in the whole you're being negative thing?
I think she was, really evil, but I also think that she was a bit naive and a bit thick. That she didn't realise how bad she was.
So technically, she's saying that she's being a bit negative, but on the other hand, she's being a bit negative.
Yes, that's basically what was happening.
Okay.
B would always complain about people being negative and bringing down the mood, not realising she was bringing down the mood by bringing this up.
Yeah.
Behold, logic loop. Use that as against the robot. Use that against the robot.
But I do think she was compelling television, and we'll discuss her later on during her eviction week. But that week, unfortunately, belonged to Freddy. And it was Freddy who ended up going. It was a close eviction between himself and Marcus. I think a lot of people still weren't entirely sure who could go. And I think it was 53%, which I think, considering the fact that Freddy pretty much pissed everybody off by being an egotist, to very nearly survive, does show how popular he was at one point. And this is our chance really to discuss Freddy in assessment. And we cannot deny he was fantastic in Big Brother 10.
True, I can tell you now. Have you ever wanted to know why Boris Johnson is awesome? This is the reason why. He was so bloody eccentric. He was the rich guy that you want to have as a friend.
But it was a harmless eccentricity as well.
And it was a harmless one.
I can imagine Boris Johnson and Freddy being father and son. It's quite scary.
Daddy, we must make sure that these chavs don't mug this woman. Oinks!
But it was just so warm with it though. That was what's great about Freddy. He was a nice warm guy. He became a victim of his own success. But I think that story arc, he was funny. He was engaging as a character. He played both underdog and egotistical villain perfectly. Honestly, he is an all-star housemate.
Aye. I can see why you actually put him on that thing after I almost killed Joey with my Boris Johnson impression.
Yeah.
But, I can see where you're coming from, because he is a brilliant thing. It's just the fact that his ego got the better of him, which was really a shame, because I could have seen him win this money, not win the show, not just for the money, because let's face it, the man owns a huge house in the middle of the country, and he writes Rastafarian music. That man will not miss that money.
It's fantastic, but as much as I love to talk about Freddy, we have to move on. We'll move on to week 11. Now, one of the big things that happened during week 11 was an argument that took place between Charlie and Rodrigo late night, which involved Rodrigo. It was actually a lot more aggressive than seen in the highlight show, but involved Rodrigo actually physically poking Charlie in the face.
Ow.
Sorry about that pause. It was actually and I remember Rodrigo being called to the diary room, being given his warning, and absolutely kicking off about it.
Really, a poke to the face. My brothers go out.
As I said though, that's all we saw in the highlight show. Reports say that it was actually a lot more aggressive than what was interpreted. And apparently the whole Charlie and Rodrigo relationship in itself was actually a lot more complex than what was interpreted as well. the story goes that Rodrigo hadn't officially come out at that point, and specifically asked producers not to show any of his and Charlie's relationship on the highlight show. Now, what do you make of that in itself? Firstly,
well, for a start off, you've just said them don't show them, the relationship side of it, but yet thousands upon millions of people saw the relationship blossom. I mean, you've seen it. I mean, Joey's seen it.
Well, I wouldn't say it blossomed. It was more like just like this awful little whimper that just wouldn't go away.
Just basically the.
It's like, we don't care. Give up.
But I want you to care. I want you to care.
But yeah, I just never believed in Charlie Rodrigo relationship. But Rodrigo really did kick off. Can anybody remember him kicking off? Why always Rodrigo kicking the wall?
And thus karma has come to reclaim my throne.
Yes. Moving on further on though, what did you make of Siavash's breaking of the rules? Because Siavash, by this point, he basically caused the week 9 voter save by refusing to nominate. Chose to do so again. What did you make of Siavash continually doing this? Because I actually got really narked by it. I was okay with Siavash, mainly because he was friends with Freddy and Marcus, but
and also the fact that he looked suspiciously like the love guru from
the film.
Yeah, the film.
But really, if you're continually breaking the rules and being so open about breaking the rules, regardless of who you are, you should be kicked out.
I mean, it's like going up to Big Brother and saying, "I'm breaking the rules, and I just don't give a fuck."
Well, what did you think, George? Should Siavash have been kicked out that week?
Yes.
No.
And why not?
Because he is such a massive character. I'm a really big Siavash fan, as you are a big Freddy fan. Obviously, Siavash was better than Freddy.
Oh my god.
Controversial.
But which is better?
There's
Freddy?
only one way to find out.
Fight!
Yeah.
Actually, them two.
Obviously, Siavash lasted longer than Freddy.
Well, that's not really saying anything, though. By saying that, you're implying that JJ Bird's a better housemate than Ben Duncan.
Well,
Flawed logic there, Joe. But we'll move on from that. We'll let you hang your head in shame at that poor logic.
Hang it.
Whilst me and Paul discuss B. Hamill.
B. Hamill.
As again, the third of those great all-star housemates, one of the most complex villains that they've had, one of the most evil villains that they've had.
Are we talking, kicking puppies sort of evil, or
we're talking Hannibal Lecter psychological evil.
Bloody hell, that's evil.
She was fantastic for that. Arguably, probably the only psychological villain that we've had. I mean, most of the time you just get a bitch that screams and slags off people a lot. B was scary.
Yeah, but I've seen scarier. But psychologically, she played a good mind game.
And what about you? What about you, George? Where did you stand on B?
I think she was just a horrible, evil person. Really.
I understand that, but there was something so compelling about it. I mean, I couldn't stand B when I first watched it, and yet I found something so engaging about it. I appreciated how good she was as a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
and you gotta love a good villain.
You have to, and I
mean, you don't read Batman comics just for sometimes Batman. You
need a Joker.
You need a Joker. It doesn't work if you don't have an anti. If you have a Batman, if you don't have a Joker, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think B was amazingly complex, strangely engaging, not likeable by any means. I agree with you, Joe, on that, but there was something really watchable about it. But we move on to week 12, and we move on to the future task. Now, this was once again a task which was basically a shopping task, which was part of little mini tasks. But the one that really stems to mind, and the one that most people remember, is David and Lisa going to London.
Oh, dressed as aliens?
Yes. Now, where did you stand on that? Because once again, this was something else that a lot of people really didn't take to, a lot of the loyalists to the show.
Well, first off, they left the house.
Exactly, and that's what got people really wound up.
Yes, because it's Big Brother. You're supposed to be isolated, not fucking gallivanting about dressed up like robots in the middle of fucking London now, do you?
Well, there were the aliens.
Well, aliens anyway.
One thing I will say though, there were elements about it which I did find funny. I think that maybe now that we have a lot more freedom for the housemates, Ryland can basically leave the house whenever he wanted to go shopping. But I think I can enjoy it because the open top bus ride there was rather funny. David's nanu, which I thought was very, very funny. And particularly how he kept saying it so much that Lisa was like, David, no more nanu, please.
Yeah,
actually, David was probably the best thing for Lisa, I think. That was about the only time I really enjoyed Lisa.
It was like a more modern day Dickie and Dolly.
I wouldn't really compare it to Dickie and Dolly, no. I don't think you can compare anything to Dickie and Dolly, but the partnership between the two I did particularly like. But whilst they were in London, the housemates decided to do their own breakout and break into the camera runs, led of course by Marcus.
Yes, because to tell you the truth, since Freddy's gone, you know, Marcus has been left off the chain.
Marcus became a much more central character once Freddy departed, I felt.
Because you can't go even better when you've just broken into the most sacred of all Big Brother houses,
and running around the camera runs in his spacesuit as well, which I found quite funny.
That would be hilarious. It's just him running around the cameras.
Yeah, Marcus was a star, but unfortunately, like most stars, they shine twice as bright and live half as long. Because unfortunately, Marcus did depart us that league up against Siavash,
and well,
a really big loss of the show. And and number 4 of our all-star housemates.
This is one of those with what Marcus did, right? If you're going to go, you go out with a fucking bang.
Absolutely, and I think the moment Marcus realised he was up against Siavash, he knew he was gone, and he was just like, I'm just going to enjoy this.
I'm going to enjoy this. Hello, Cameroons.
Yeah. What's your favourite, are there any great Marcus moments that you can remember, Joe?
Well, all the arguments are quite funny, and actually one of the tasks from that week of offering Marcus money to cut off his ponytail and him refusing was quite funny.
I like that one. The one thing I remember about Marcus, first of all, was the fact that Marcus became very aware that the live feed wasn't 24/7 that year. So would deliberately stay up late at night just to be on the live feed and get the live feed coverage. But the other one I remember was that I remember Marcus going into the toilets to see to his little general, if you know what I mean.
Ooh.
The housemates click onto that, know what Marcus is doing, and deliberately open the door up and, like, you know, ramshackle him and that sort of thing. And it cuts to Marcus inside the toilet cubicle, duvet around himself, looking like E.T. And I'm just like grin on his face.
Why do I just see that going? It's just you know, it's just that hilarious, you know.
It was the image of him.
I would just love to see that, and you know, he just plays up and goes, "I am the toilet troll. Speak your business."
I'm sure someone did a Photoshop of that. I think someone did him with E.T. and the bicycle. Someone did him as a toilet troll. But yeah, he was great. Marcus he was an anti-hero. That's if we came with a comic book theme, he was an anti-hero. I mean,
such as, you know, Wolverine.
Yes. Which asks me which gives me one of the questions, which is how much of Marcus's personality was created to try and play up to his Wolverine persona.
He just played.
What about you, Joe?
I think it was, you know, it was half made up. It was half just his ego, because his ego was pretty huge.
It was, but it was funny with it though.
But he called his little general. He called his, you know, his meat and two veg his little general, which is fucking hilarious and a bit of an indicator that he basically had a huge ego. Not in the trolley department, but you know.
Yeah.
Just the image of him just going, I am the troll. You can call me the Hobgoblin.
Yes. We could stay here talking about Marcus, or the irrepressible dark horse as he had to be called. Not a irrepressible dark horse, the irrepressible dark horse.
So basically, you know, just imagine Bat Horse or something like that. Nerd.
But we have to move on, and we're going to move on to week 13, the final week of the house. Now, I noticed now that we were devoid of a villain in the show, I noticed a specific downturn in Lisa's edit. Now, Lisa had been the default villain of the first few weeks, with Freddy still in there.
Mm-hmm.
Did production hide a villainous side of Lisa? I just found it really surprising that they went from Lisa being a bitch to Lisa being okay, and then going back to a bitch the moment they needed her to be.
Lisa, as I said before, a bit of the punk who, tries a bit too hard, is all about standing up for herself. As in other words, she will not take no shit. Anything that doesn't agree with her, don't try it.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Paul? What about you, Joe? Did you notice the downturn in Lisa's edit?
Yeah, I think she was up and down quite a lot, and it might have been edited badly to make her look like the bad guy, but even if she was, she was a brilliant character.
We'll discuss that when we assess her, but before we do, at the request of Joe, we need to bring up the single ladies task.
All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies.
Where did you stand on this one, Joe?
I think it was one of the best tasks ever.
I particularly love Siavash's over-enthusiasm in getting involved in it.
I liked his breakdancing at the end. It was rather funny.
Yes, enjoyable. One thing that did stand out though, I believe Charlie wanted to play Beyonce, and that got dumped, and I believe it was David who did the main role.
Yeah.
Yep. And Charlie's real upset at not being Beyonce. And this would actually brings me on to a point about Charlie, which I didn't like. Did anybody else feel that Charlie wanted to always try and be the lead in the task?
It did seem like the attention seeker. He wanted to be the main guy, the guy who gets more of the face time in tasks.
We'll bring up more about Charlie once we get on to his assessment. What we are going to do is bring up Lisa. So there was a midweek vote to evict that week, and Lisa, of course, being the default villain, almost certainly gone. Now, you're quite positive about Lisa, Joe, so we'll bring it up to Paul.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to go with Joe on this one, because, she is basically one of those people that would basically take a fight with you if you took a biscuit or something.
I just found it rather underwhelming.
Yeah.
I just really could not take the Lisa. I mean, yes, she was a villain. Yes, I usually do like a good love to hate baddie. She was just more of an irritant to me than anything. I just really did not take to her. So
basically, the little scene kid that constantly says, "I'm different," but yet you see 12 other little scene kids as well.
Well, no, she was just a grumpy cow.
Very well, I don't know.
That's my opinion. I know you two don't agree with it. I'm in the minority. We'll let DS decide that one. But we are going to go to finale night.
Fireworks.
Yes. 5 gay housemates, Sophia and Saffia. Yes.
It sounds like
it sounds like a really bad sitcom, doesn't it?
It sounds like the Jonathan Ross's backup band. 5 puffs and the piano.
But yeah, now. As much as I do like this series, this was quite a weak finale night. I mean, in terms of the 5 people that we had there. What did you think the pecking order was going to be for that finale? Because I think a lot of people were quite taken aback by the order in which the housemates left.
I think it was an alright finale. I think that it could have been different depending on how people voted, but I think it was an alright finale.
Of course, the obvious place to start 5th place. What did you make of Rodrigo leaving first on finale night? That took a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, it took me by surprise. I thought, at least Charlie was going to go first.
What do you think it was that made Charlie get more votes, though? What do you think it was about Rodrigo that meant that he just didn't appeal enough to the public to get them to...
I think it was because of the fact that he's an obsessed, little self-indulgent little twat.
Nah, I don't think that. I think the problem...
He only thinks that because he took his place.
Yes, Paul's been bitter about that for the last 5 years.
Someday, some bloody day, I will be on Big Brother, and I will have a T-shirt saying the words "Ha ha Rodriguez" or Rodrigo.
Yes, of course. But if you put Rodriguez, nobody will know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought he was nice enough, Rodrigo. I think the problem Rodrigo had was that he liked the Queen, and that was it. I think he didn't really. I don't think he built enough depth. Apart from that.
So basically, the most two-dimensional character in the whole of the house likes the Queen.
And I think that was the problem, really. That he just didn't have that oomph to make people care about him more than just that.
He was Brazilian.
But we move on though, and we moved on to probably my least favourite contestant of the series, Charlie. Yes. Now Charlie I just didn't like Charlie because I just felt he was so cynical about everything he did. I just never felt that at any time he came across naturally. It was all, as I mentioned, he had this checklist in his head about what needs to happen to be a winner, and was following it cynically and robotically. Do you know what he was? He was Brian Bello. He was a white gay Brian Bello.
I would really buckle it. They pulled a Total Recall, and basically his whole entire face split open, and it's with Brian Bello in disguise.
He'd probably do that actually. Bello loves Big Brother that much. He'd probably go in disguise as another housemate.
Brian. Oh no, we've just spoilt it. Oh God, my cover's been blown.
Yeah. But yeah, where do you stand on Charlie, Joe? Do you say you have any sort of negativity around him?
Yeah, totally. I think it was completely, complete arse.
The things I disliked about him though was that I felt he was hypocritical as well, because Charlie always played this nice guy, me-like thing, and yet he did some awful things in the house himself.
So
I mean, can you remember when he sabotaged Angel's eviction outfit by dropping a water bomb on it?
Bastard.
There was a lot of things like that, but Charlie always tried to cover it up, saying, "Oh, I was just being prankster, I was just being nice me-like."
I would right. So basically, I'm just imagining him just punching a cat while he's saying the words, I'm nice me, like.
I've got to say that, before we go on to the last three, that this was probably one of the weakest final nights, because it was even overtaken by, Friday Night with Jonathan Ross, who got more views.
All the things that could have gotten more views, it was Jonathan Ross.
The one thing I will say though is that you cannot use viewers as an indication of quality, because I did a study on American television and I found the Jersey Shore got more high ratings than The Sopranos.
Really?
Yes. So don't use ratings as an excuse of quality. One thing I will say about Charlie though is the one thing I did quite like, the one of those funny moments, was that on the live feeds, Charlie created a character for himself, another attempt to try and be cynical and funny, called Nana, which was like this dithering old lady that just couldn't remember people's names and annoyed people late at night. And Charlie was insistent Nana was absolutely hilarious. The British public are going to love Nana. Nana might get her own sitcom afterwards. It never made the highlights. So when Charlie has his interview with Davina on the finale night, and it's just like, oh, did you like Nana? Who's Nana? And the way his face dropped was hilarious. That's the one thing I do like about Charlie, but apart from that, very poor housemate. But we move on to our final three, and we talk about David. Now, David really took a lot of people by surprise by stealing third place.
My God.
I mean, he carried so much momentum and had that late surge late in the week to become quite prominent. Out of nowhere, really, because for pretty much all of his time, apart from that, he was Lisa's sidekick.
Yeah.
Where do you think this David popularity came from to get third place?
I have no idea.
I think it was because of the fact that he was being the sidekick to Lisa. That sort of pushed him a bit, but then suddenly Lisa went and he was still there, so...
And you see, I think being Lisa's sidekick would have been more of a detriment.
It was doing the single ladies task that, he showed that he could be funny.
Yes.
And then Lisa went, and then he showed his self. And that's what made him, get the boost to third.
I think it was the fact as well that David was so open to do anything in the house. Because, especially when Marcus was rampaging from the house being this cardboard rebel, and David was just like, I am going to do everything that Big Brother tells me to because I want the Big Brother experience.
Indeed, and also the fact that, we do call him Pound Shop Wolverine now, for a reason.
Yeah.
All he's just missing is the claws, and that's it.
But the thing is though, who's going to remember David Ramsden? I don't think most people do, really.
Not really.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we come to Sophie versus Siavash in the final. Siavash there in his skin-tight, flesh-coloured bodysuit. Long story. And we come to the finale night, and it's a no contest. Sophie wins it in a landslide. And the question I want to ask is, was the right decision made here? Because I liked Sophie. I thought she was a nice enough girl, But if you looked at the story arcs and the story development of Big Brother 10, you could take Sophie out of Big Brother 10 and nothing would change.
Exactly. I think I remember seeing a headline with her in it, basically going, Sophie wins Big Brother. Who gives a shit?
It's like the virtual reality winning. It's like
for me it's worse than Rachel Weisz, because the argument you can make was that Rachel Weisz had some sort of resemblance of a story. She was part of B Block. She had the feud with Rex, and she had all the criticism from the other housemates for being this bore. Sophie didn't even have that. Sophie had a weak storyline with Chris, which nobody really cared about, and that was it. She just spent the next 13 weeks farting and getting drunk.
Basically like a bit of rice pudding.
And that's for me the big problem with Sophie Reid, is that she just had no storyline to engage with. I mean, even Siavash had Noirin. He was part of the Three Amigos. He was more compelling for me compared to Sophie. And I think, in my opinion, I think even if I didn't particularly like Siavash, he particularly got on my nerves late in the series.
Especially
I would have preferred for him to win just because he did more.
And also the fact that he overreacted when he saw a spider.
Yes. Oh, thank you for remembering that. Siavash and the spider. If you look it up, please. It's one of the funniest things that you can watch.
Yeah, you've never seen a big grown man get so scared over a tiny little spider. I could draw you a spider and it would be accurate. It would basically be a dot. That was it.
Yeah, very funny moment. I mean, as I mentioned, Siavash not one of my favourite housemates, but deserved it more over Sophie. And I think that was pretty much the only dampener of what I thought was a great series.
Yeah.
Where do you stand, Paul?
One, Siavash was a personality. I can give you that. He was a very bloated ego to actually watch throughout the whole entire experience of Big Brother.
Where do you stand on Big Brother 10 as a series?
Big Brother 10 sort of had its high points, low points, but I enjoyed the high points when it was on. But then it just sort of fizzled into what we see. It sort of fizzled a bit.
It did lose something once Freddy went. I do agree there. But
it sort of lost its soul once the eccentric went.
But I've seen worse endgames than Big Brother 10. I have to say. What about you, Joe?
I think it did kind of lose its
Pepper?
momentum after certain people left. But out of the whole series, I think it was a good series. It wasn't the best, but it was pretty good.
I think it's become a really criminally overlooked series, and I think a lot of people dismiss Big Brother 10 as being a poor one because of the ratings. And I think that as people grow older and appreciate it a bit more, I think it become one of those cult series that I think people realise, hang on a minute, this was actually really, really good. But unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that's it that we have time for to discuss Big Brother 10. It's been an absolute joy discussing this series. I've enjoyed it. Paul Barron's really enjoyed it. Joseph Tillier as well.
This has been Baron and Karl and Joseph saying good night.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed talking about Big Brother 10. We hope that you've enjoyed listening to it at home. This has been Big Brother's Big Archive. Please remember to comment and subscribe to our YouTube page. And we look forward to seeing from you again when we discuss Celebrity Big Brother 6. I've been Karl Bainbridge, Joseph Tilly, Paul Barron.
I won't be here.
You won't be here, of course.
Yes, because Joe's sort of found a ticket out of here by going to somewhere far away.
Yes, Barbados, I believe. But
yes.
Whilst he's enjoying that, we'll be enjoying Celebrity Big Brother 6.
Good.
This has been Big Brother's Big Archive. Bye-bye for now.
Doodles.
Bye.